Hey y'all, I'm back, and in this video I'm going to share with you how I created a meal plan in 3 different ways, and it's a little bit unconventional, but I had a lot of fun creating this. I have this big happy planner that is actually unused from 2019, where I have some pages that are used, but most of it is unused, so I wanted to definitely use some of these pages up. Feel free to use a classic size happy planner or even like larger note pages if you want. I did, just so that you know, some of the lines I did choose to serve as like some guides for how I'm going to be placing my meal plan like days of the week, but just kind of as you'll see as the video goes on, how you can kind of change it up on your own. So for this first one, I'm actually going to combine these mini happy planner pages onto my bigger happy size planner pages. I'm really just going to use these honestly for like some little boxes that are going to serve as like each day of the week, but you don't have to do that. You could create your own if you wanted to. That would be pretty simple to just kind of draw some lines. But I just use this because it's already done and it's a mini planner that I haven't used. So I just trimmed off the edges to where it just ended up with the boxes themselves, 7 boxes. And I am now going to measure out this pattern paper to just kind of cover up the top and bottom of this planner page. This pattern paper is by Close to My Heart. I do a little bit of design team work for Beth Ann Black, and I actually could not find this pattern paper on the site anymore, so I'm thinking maybe it's discontinued. And so when I post certain things from Close to My Heart, most of the time, 99% of the time, it's going to be things that are in stock. But just keep in mind, like if you want to go back and purchase things, sometimes like Close to My Heart and other companies like those will discontinue some of their products. And so this one in particular, I think it was called Craft On, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Almost positive. Let me see. Yeah, so this one was called Craft On, and I don't believe it's available on the website anymore, but um, there's other patterns. I linked the site below, and there's other patterns that are probably still available that you could look. And I mean, you could use any sort of pattern paper for the top and bottom of these particular planner pages, just to cover up the dates and to kind of cover up that pattern there at the bottom. So the next thing I'm going to do is look through this book for some patterns, like mainly boxes that have colorful patterns that I can use, not so much like the quotes, but just the colorful background so that it pops out from the bottom of, or the kind of surrounding these mini planner boxes. And I had those setting aside, but now I'm going to use them as a guide to see where I want to place the colors. The idea behind this was just to add color all around the boxes and to fill in the gaps, so that it looks like, or to fill in all the blank space so that it looks like it's a piece of pattern paper with the mini planner pages right on top, if that makes sense. So I'll continue flipping through this book and just kind of adding little pieces here and there, and then I'm going to move on to adding some of the floral pieces, and I'll share with you how I did that as well. Okay, so these floral pieces are from Kelly Bangs Creative from the Reset Girl. So Kelly Bangs designed these for the Reset Girl, and I'll link those down below. And I printed them on clear sticker paper. And the reason I do that is because when you add them to, whether it's like Bible journaling, or which is what I think these particular florals were meant for, maybe, when you add them to whatever pages you're working on, so if it's just a piece of like pattern paper or a white piece of paper, or you're making a card or whatever, you don't see the fact that you didn't cut it out perfectly. You'll see that I'm just like roughly cutting these, and then when you add them to the page, they just melt into the page pretty much. So I love printing out my own florals, especially because when you buy, I know all of you, or a lot of you who are watching this can probably relate, but when you buy certain like sticker books and then they have like lots of florals in them, and you want to use those florals for specific like projects, it's hard for me honestly to use those because I know like I'm gonna end up wanting them for other projects, and then I don't know. I feel like I need to hoard them in a way, and so it's nice to be able to print your own, and then use them just as much as you want. So I've sped this up quite a bit just because I'm doing the same thing over and over again. One little tip that I have is cutting them with your scissors, like whether that's in half or cutting a fourth or cutting 2/3 of the sticker, and then placing it kind of on the edge so that it's just so much, it looks like a very finished pattern, but it's, you don't have to worry about like cutting off the excess with your scissors when this planner page is lined with like a box. In order to fit inside that box, you can trim those florals off before you place them, just kind of like I'm doing. I did that several times in this video. So at this point, I want to go ahead and add my boxes, and I'm just going to simply place some like double-sided tape, which is just my tape runner that I use. I'm going to use that to place down these boxes, and then I will kind of move on to adding the labels for each one of those. So next I am going to pull some labels that I can use to be the anchor for my letters B, L, and D. So I'm going to use a few different colors. I think I want to say I'm back in that Happy Quotes sticker book. I think I originally was going to use some labels from the spring, one of the spring books, but I decided to just move on to the Happy Quotes books that had some, like, I think their colors are a little bit more bright and bold, and so that matches obviously that kind of the look that I'm going for. Okay, so I added the labels and I added the BLD from that alpha book, and now from the same alpha book, it's kind of the one that I feel like a lot of people probably have. I'm just going to add Meal Plan right at the top, and that's going to pretty much finish up this particular or part one, I guess. And then I'm going to go ahead and move on to the second version of this meal plan. But first, I forgot about this. I am going to add the dates there at the top. You don't necessarily have to do this if you know which week it's for, but I created 3 at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and like do 3 weeks in advance, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do this coming week, and then the next week and the week after that. So I'm just going to use these dates right at the top. And the little pokey tool, I've gotten questions about this before. It comes from an American Crafts little, and I'll link that down below as well. But American Crafts little kit, and it comes with like an X-Acto knife and some other things. And I use that pokey tool a lot since I added a lot of my stickers into books, into my own binding books. I use that pokey tool a lot just to kind of help me get those pulled from the backing. Okay. So the next one, I'm actually going to use the front part of the week, and then I am going to measure out the side just to kind of cover up. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can still leave the part where it says like goals on there, or this week, and then it says goals, I believe. So, but I'm going to cover it up just because I want pattern, and I'm going to leave the boxes like the 3 vertical boxes as is. But I am going to cover up the top and the side. I did toy with the idea of putting some washi at the bottom. That washi was a little bit too translucent, and then I just decided to leave it. I think it ended up looking fine, and it ended up actually working well with the color scheme that I ended up doing without thinking it through, if that makes sense. So I'm going to pull some thin washi, and I'm just going to simply add the washi to horizontally, and I've already kind of in my head measured out how I want it to look, and I know at this point if I do the boxes about like 4 lines apart that I'm gonna end up with 7 boxes. So it does look super messy at this point, but I am gonna go back through with my X-Acto knife, same kit as the pokey tool, and I'm just gonna simply cut off or trim off the excess that's kind of overhanging. So I'm going to go through that. I'm going to pull those. It's pretty simple. I've sped this up quite a bit just because it's really repetitive. But I still wanted you guys to be able to see what I'm doing, if that makes sense. And so that looks really nice and tidy at this point. And you'll see a little hand come in and out just because my daughter is super interested in what I'm doing. And so at this point, I'm looking for something to kind of line the left side of the page to serve as my anchor for the date. So, and the one before, the dates went horizontal. This time the dates are going to go vertical. And that's because there's 3 boxes at the top, and then I created like 7 boxes going vertical. So I'll be able to still have my 21 meals, I guess, if that makes sense, or room for my 21 meals. So I added these little labels. Now I do believe this was from the spring. I want to say it's from the spring Happy Planner sticker book. I cannot talk today for some reason. So I added those. No, I lied. Wait, was that from the spring book? Yes, that's from the spring book. And then I'm going to add the dates right on top. I apologize. I do not know where these dates. That's the only bad thing about like setting up your own Happy Planner like sticker book storage is I should have labeled, or for me particularly, because I didn't label any of these, I should have labeled those and I didn't. So there are my dates. And then the next thing I'm going to do is add my titles there at the top, my anchors for my BL and D. And if you really wanted to get super technical, if you're good about like having snacks, you could probably have made room for some snacks that's somewhere, maybe even on the left hand side, but I'm not the best at doing that, or not the best at eating snacks anyway. I normally eat bigger meals, and then every so often I'll eat a little snack in between. So there was my second one, and you'll get a closer up look there at the end. So for my third, I am going to add washi. This is kind of a more simple version. I'm not going to use any pattern paper on this one. I'm just going to simply use stickers and washi. I'm going to trim off the excess there. This is just some floral washi that, I think I got from Hobby Lobby, I believe. And I'm just going to trim that off, and then I'm going to do the same thing there at the bottom. I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do at the bottom, but I just decided to go ahead and use the same washi. So same concept, just going to place that across. I'm not going to worry too much about getting it perfectly lined up because I can use that X-Acto knife to peel that right off and to make it look nice. And the ruler that I'm using is a Tim Holtz ruler, I believe. I've had that for a little while. And then I also use my T-shaped ruler from time to time, but it's just whatever is closest to me. And the T-shaped ruler I think I got from Michael's, so you can get it at any craft store, I believe. So I'm going to use this labels. I think it's the shapes label. Shapes, maybe? Oh, goodness. What is it? I'll link it down below. But basically, I'm going to use this to I'm going to cluster up 3 of these labels 7 times. So I'm going to do 3 at the top and 4 on the bottom. And each little cluster is going to have 3 to kind of mark as my breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then I'll add the numbers right on top. This was probably the most simple meal plan that I did because I didn't put as much effort into it. But I really love the way that it turned out, and I think it's kind of a nice way to just get a week at a glance for your meals, for all of your meals. So I thought that was nice. And there's no rhyme or reason to what I'm choosing. I'm just trying to have like a larger one, a medium one, and then a small one in each of the clusters. I didn't do that with every single one, but that was kind of the idea. And then I also try to have a variety of colors that kind of match the floral washi tape as well. So now I am going to add the dates. And I chose the bigger dates just so I was dying to use these at some point for this video. And so these are my favorite dates. And if any of y'all know, okay, first of all, I can't remember what book they came in. I think it was the tiny, as odd as this is, I think it was like the tiny sticker book that they came out with a long time ago. But if any of y'all, I want to say that there's another sticker book that has the same font, but they're smaller numbers and maybe even letters. And if y'all know what sticker book I'm talking about, please let me know down below so that I can purchase that. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the word meals up at the top, or I'm going to put August meals actually. And then I'm going to add a little heart just because I put it was a little bit heavy on the left hand side. So I tried to make it look a little bit more even though it didn't do a very good job of that. I'm not a perfectionist, and that's one thing that you guys probably figured out by now is I don't line things up perfectly. I try to make things look as nice as possible, but anyway, so that pretty much finishes up my third and final meal plan. Let me know which one you guys liked the best. I think I like the first one the best just because of all the bright colors and the florals, but I had a lot of fun creating this. If y'all want to see more videos like this, let me know and give me a thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye.